The room went silent in a way that felt unnatural, as if the air itself had been pulled from everyone's lungs. A single father stood frozen beneath bright corporate lights, his worn backpack clutched to his chest, while uniformed security closed in. Across the polished marble floor, the CEO watched with cool certainty. And then, from the back of the room, her mother spoke a single, unexpected truth that shattered the moment and stopped the room cold. Before the story unfolds, take a second to pause. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the quiet power of empathy, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us who we are when no one is watching. The man at the center of the room was named Daniel, though almost no one there knew it. To them, he was just another outsider who did not belong in a high-rise building of glass walls and silent elevators. He wore a faded jacket that had once been black, now softened by years of washing, and his shoes carried the dust of long walks taken instead of car rides. His shoulders slumped not from weakness, but from the weight of responsibility he carried every single day. Inside the backpack pressed against his chest were not secrets or stolen goods, but the entire fragile structure of his life, carefully packed and protected like something breakable. Daniel was a single father, raising his 7-year-old daughter alone after life had taken a sharp and merciless turn. 2 years earlier, his wife had passed away suddenly from an undiagnosed illness, leaving him with grief he barely had time to feel and a child who needed him to be everything at once. He worked nights cleaning offices and mornings delivering packages, sleeping in broken stretches and measuring his days in school drop-offs and packed lunches. The backpack held his lunch, his daughter's asthma inhaler, a folder of medical documents, and a small, creased drawing she had slipped inside that morning for luck. That day, Daniel had not come to the building by choice. A courier company he worked for part-time had sent him to deliver an envelope to the executive floor. He hesitated before entering, already aware that his presence would be questioned. Places like this had a way of reminding him of everything he was not anymore. He had once worn pressed shirts and carried an ID badge of his own, before layoffs and tragedy had pushed him into survival mode. Still, he straightened his back, adjusted the straps of his bag, and stepped forward because providing for his daughter meant swallowing pride whenever necessary. The CEO, a woman known for her sharp mind and sharper expectations, had been walking through the lobby with her assistants when she noticed him. Her gaze lingered on the backpack, the scuffed shoes, the uncertainty in his stance. In her world, order and control were everything, and anything that disrupted that order felt like a threat. Without hesitation, she signaled security, her expression firm and unquestioning. The command was clear even without words. The bag needed to be searched. Security moved quickly, trained to respond without asking why. Daniel felt his chest tighten as they approached. He had experienced this before in different forms, in stores where clerks followed him too closely, in streets where eyes lingered too long. Still, the humiliation never grew easier. His hands trembled slightly as he held the backpack closer, not out of defiance, but out of fear. Fear that something precious inside might be mishandled. Fear that his daughter's drawing would fall to the floor like proof of a life no one wanted to see. As the attention of the room shifted toward him, conversations died mid-sentence. Assistants paused. Employees slowed their steps. Some watched with curiosity, others with discomfort, and a few with silent judgment. Daniel's mind raced with worst-case scenarios, not for himself, but for the ripple effects this moment could have. If he was delayed, he would be late picking up his daughter from after-school care. Late fees were something he could barely afford. Everything in his life was balanced on a thin line, and this moment threatened to tip it all. What Daniel did not know was that the CEO's mother was present that day, sitting in a waiting area nearby. She was visiting her daughter's company for the first time, a woman in her late 70s with silver hair and eyes that had seen both abundance and loss. She had grown up in a time when survival meant sacrifice, when dignity was something you held onto even when everything else was taken. From her seat, she watched the scene unfold, her heart tightening with recognition. She saw not a threat, but a man standing the way her own husband once had decades earlier, when he came home from factory shifts with grease-stained hands and tired eyes. She saw the protective way Daniel held his bag, the same way parents held onto hope when it was the only thing left. The room might have seen a problem to be managed, but she saw a human being cornered by assumptions. As security reached for the bag, the mother rose from her seat. Her movement was slow but deliberate, and it carried a quiet authority that demanded attention. When she spoke, it was not loud, but it was steady, grounded in a lifetime of lessons learned the hard way. She reminded the room, and especially her daughter, that dignity was not measured by appearance, and that fear-based decisions often revealed more about those in power than those being judged. She spoke of a time when her own family had survived on kindness from strangers, and how one moment of compassion had changed the course of their lives. Her words landed like a weight. The CEO felt something shift inside her, a crack in the armor she had built over years of boardrooms and bottom lines. She looked again at Daniel, really looked this time, and saw the exhaustion etched into his face, the quiet resolve, the humanity she had overlooked. The room, once buzzing with unspoken tension, now felt exposed, as if everyone present had been asked to confront their own silent biases. Security hesitated, hands lowering. The bag was not searched. Instead, the moment transformed into something no policy manual could account for. The CEO stepped forward, her expression changed, not softened but deepened, as understanding replaced suspicion. She acknowledged the mistake without excuses and allowed Daniel to complete his delivery without further interference. But the story did not end there. Later that day, the CEO requested Daniel be brought back, not as a suspect, but as a guest. She had learned about his life, his responsibilities, and the relentless effort it took to keep going. Moved by her mother's reminder and her own awakening, she offered him more than an apology. She connected him with a stable position within the company's logistics department, one that offered consistent hours, benefits, and a future he could finally plan for. For Daniel, the change was overwhelming. Stability was something he had almost forgotten how to imagine. With a steady income, he could afford better childcare, reduce his night shifts, and be present for his daughter in ways he had only dreamed of. The backpack he once clutched like a shield slowly became lighter, not because it carried less, but because his heart carried more hope. The CEO's mother watched these changes from a distance, satisfied not by recognition, but by the quiet knowledge that a single moment of truth had altered the course of 2 lives. She reminded her daughter that leadership was not about control, but about responsibility, and that the power to uplift was the greatest power of all. As weeks turned into months, Daniel's confidence grew. He walked into the building each day no longer as an outsider, but as someone who belonged. Yet he never forgot that moment in the lobby, the fear, the judgment, and the voice that had cut through it all. He shared the story with his daughter one evening, not as a tale of injustice, but as proof that kindness could appear when least expected.